रेडियो साउथ ईस्ट वॉइस ਨਾਲ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜੁੜੇ ਹੋ ਸਿਟੀ ਆਫ ਬਰੈਂਪਟਨ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕਿ ਚਰਚਾ ਚ ਰਹਿੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਉਹਦੇ ਮੇਅਰ ਆਨਰੇਬਲ ਪੈਟਰਿਕ ਬਰਾਊਨ ਮੇਰੇ ਨਾਲ ਨੇ ਗੁੱਡ ਮਾਰਨਿੰਗ ਮੇਅਰ ਵੈਲਕਮ ਟੂ ਰੇਡੀਓ ਸਾउਥ ਈस्ट ਵॉइस
morning Winder, always an honor to be on your show.
Welcome, Mr. Mayor. First question is what is going on in your city? Lot of crime, lot of car theft, and people thinking to move out from your city.
So we do have a problem with escalating crime, not just in Brampton, but across the GTA. You know, I've been in meetings with the chiefs of police with all the cities, and unfortunately, guns and gangs that might have been more limited to Toronto are now all over the GTA, and the auto thefts is one thing they use to create revenue. And so we're seeing auto thefts at a greater rate. I'll be advocating to get the police more funding to respond to auto thefts. Right now, they only have 5 officers on their auto theft investigative team. And I want to make sure they got more tools to respond to the uptick in auto thefts.
What about the new police division? I spoke to Amarjot Sandhu. He told me provincial government is past everything. Now is city turn. They can grant land, everything. So what is going on? Is on a stage is possible in future, in few days, few months, Brampton can get new police station?
Yeah, I actually want 2 new police stations. And so I had reached out to Amarjot Sandhu. Normally, the planning process takes about 5 years to approve a new facility of that size.
Yep.
And so working with local councillor Michael Paleshi and the police board and the police chief, we requested to build a new police station in the northwest of the city. And we got it approved at the police board. We got the budget allocated at the region appeal. We got the province agreed to expedite the approvals and the planning. And so normally the planning process might take 5 years. Now we have it down to about a year. Everyone has said yes, and I'm grateful that I'm getting so much support for this police station at the region and at the province. And I think it's very important to have that capacity. But I would say I also want to do a new one in the east end of the city. I want to have faster response times in the east end of the city as well. So we got the west end one approved now. Now I want to see an east end one.
One of my friend suggested me, and he asked me to put a question to Mr. Mayor. What about the CCTV camera installation in your city? Canada is very behind to street camera. Is there any possibility in future?
So I sought approval from the provincial government to install CCTV cameras on the highways where we're having shooting. They've given us approval, so there is now CCTV cameras being installed on all our local highways. And this is a very important investigative tool, which means that if anyone does something wrong, we're going to have high resolution photos of their activity. One of the reasons you never saw shootings on the 407 is because there's a lot of cameras. Now all our other highways in Peel region are going to have cameras as well.
Mr. Mayor, next question. Any arrest made in Brampton College Plaza incident?
So I am told that the police know who the individuals responsible are, and that arrests will be forthcoming. And so the chief told me that we're going to have some good news very soon, that the people committed that vile attack with a sword will be arrested.
One question, please ask Mr. Mayor. Please ask, we need cameras in plazas, not highways. What about this question, Mr. Mayor?
So that's a private plaza. We would not be allowed to put a camera up. It would have to be the owner of the plaza to put cameras up. The city is not allowed, or the province is not allowed to put up cameras on private property. But that's a good idea. We should certainly suggest to the plaza owner that might be a deterrence. If they put cameras up, that might help eliminate that activity, because sadly there's been a number of incidents at that same plaza.
Mr. Mayor, you have very good relation with the federal government as well as the provincial government now. You build very good relation. I appreciate for that. So your city is growing very, very, very fastly, and a lot of people, especially international students, they want to make temporary home in Brampton. So our health system is totally disturbed now. So any special amount, any special package for the city of Brampton for the healthcare?
Well, for 20 years, Brampton got nothing, just peanut. And I launched a healthcare advocacy campaign. Councillor Singh helped me move a motion at City Hall declaring an emergency. We got the attention of the provincial government. In last year's provincial budget, they awarded a tender of $1 billion for the construction of a new hospital. And to put that in context, $1 billion is the largest healthcare investment in Brampton history. It's going to take about 5 years to build the hospital. There's going to be 350 beds, a full-service 24/7 emergency. We're also getting approval for a regional cancer center and a medical school. So we've got help on the way. We've got a major new investment in healthcare coming to the city, and the construction is starting momentarily. They're starting to do some of the environmental work on the grounds already. So long overdue. This should have happened 20 years ago, Colinder, but at least it's happening now, and I'm grateful that our council made enough noise to really instigate this investment.
So, Patrick, I got a question regarding the Plaza. Families are not safe in Plaza, even in movie theaters. So there is a lot of robbery, gun culture in Brampton, especially the people thinking about Plaza at least should be safe to visit the family for the shopping, everything. So is there any possibility you can talk to the that condo corporations, the Plaza, and then install the camera in that location?
I can speak to the owner of that Plaza. I'll find out who they are and make that suggestion for them. That's actually a good idea. One of the beautiful things about live radio is you get good ideas and good suggestions, and I think that's a good idea. I would note that during my time as mayor, we've added 180 police officers to the Peel Police, and I'm going to continue to push more. I want to make sure we have faster response times. But, Colinder, if I can be blunt, there are some councillors out there who say no more funding to the police. There are some councillors who say defund the police and don't want to support the police budget. And every year I'm the one around the table saying we need to properly fund the police. Right now, we do not have enough officers to respond to the volume of calls. And I want to make sure that Peel Region has the same capacity to respond to calls to the police station that any other big city does. And so, I need everyone's support when I push to get more police resources.
Patrick, even people complaining, even 911 service is very worst. It takes 7 to 8 minutes to take the call. And is there any new number regarding to the 911 that people can call them and then they can immediately respond from the police? Yeah,
I did not hear about there being delays at 911. That would be very alarming. I will speak to the chief about that.
Is very worst question for you, Mr. Mayor. It's not a question, just an announcement. Mr. Gurinder Kohala sent me a text message. It is time to send home all these 11 this election. Bring fresh faces this time in City Hall. Now it is 11. It is 10 now. Any comment, Mr. Mayor, on this?
Yeah, I would say obviously I'm hoping the city will support councillors that support my agenda, that are willing to show up to work. I've had some problems with councillors that didn't show up. A number of the councillors are retiring, so we're going to get a lot of fresh blood around the table, some fresh faces, some new faces, which is good, because I felt that some of the councillors were checked out, that they knew they were retiring, and so they didn't have the same commitment. But the good news is we're going to have a number of new faces around the council table, and I think that will be good for the city.
Now, Mr. Mayor, I'm taking public question. Mr. Paramjit Birdi sending a question, why the council in this command cancelled the investigation of Integrity Commissioner on 26 August meeting?
So we actually referred it to the Integrity Commissioner. The way it was set up before was there was really a witch hunt into Councillor Santos, who has done some great work for the city. And they wanted to have council investigate her, the steering committee of 3 councillors, rather than let the Integrity Commissioner do the work. The Integrity Commissioner had already cleared Councillor Santos, saying no wrongdoing. And some of these old councillors were so upset that the Integrity Commissioner cleared her. They wanted to run a steering committee to do their own investigation. It should not be political. It should not be councillors running a steering committee. The Integrity Commissioner said there was no conflict, and I don't believe it's appropriate for council to assume the role of the Integrity Commissioner. Let the Integrity Commissioner do their job. And I go further. If Councillor Santos didn't do her work fighting for more post-secondary education opportunities, there'd be no med school coming to Brampton. It was her hard work and Councillor Singh. That's the reason we have a med school coming to our city. Next question,
Mr. Gurpreet Matharu sending. Is he bringing any company for a job in Brampton other than house approval? This is a question for you, Mr. Mayor.
We've seen some of the biggest economic development activity in city history in the last 4 years. Let me give you some examples. Boston Scientific just announced that Brampton will be their Canadian headquarters. They do medical technology devices. MDA, we did a special arrangement for them to build their new Canadian headquarters, 800 jobs in Brampton. These 800 jobs are rocket science jobs servicing the International Space Station. So this is space robotics. So we've had some really exciting major wins on economic development in our city, good paying jobs. And so, yeah, it's an exciting time for the business growth we're seeing in Brampton.
Mr. Mann sending a question, what 4-year plan, next 4-year plan, your vision, 4-year vision?
Well, I want to get the hospital built. The construction is going to be starting. I need to finish that project. I want to see the first medical school class come into the city in 2025. I want to see a police station built in the West End and the East End. My goal is to add about 250 more officers to the Peel Region Police Force. I want to see an expanded auto theft unit. I want to see the expansion of the LRT into the downtown. I want to see rapid bus transit completed on Queen Street. I want to continue to see the diversification of our recreation. So cricket, field hockey, we need more amenities there. So I've got a ton of work to do in Brampton, and I'm excited to roll up my sleeves and get to that work along with a great city council. The
last question, all question is done. So I asked the all question from the community. So my question last, Mr. Mayor. If the ethnic media personalities, they want to establish a press club, is the city of Brampton support them? They provide a building funding for that. Then federal, provincial, municipal politicians, they can come together and address the ethnic media. It's possibilities city can support them.
I'm happy to support it. I'm not sure if there's a building, but I'm happy to have the city support that. I think having an organized press club is good for democracy. I think the press are critical to keeping our democracy in check. And as you know, I love coming on your show, so to be available and accessible to the media is important.
Mr. Mayor, did you remember in 3.5 years earlier in Jagdish Karewal backyard, you promised me you're going to bring a motion in City Hall to cut the funding for the Brampton Garden, almost 100,000 per month, more than $1 million Brampton City sending this money to the Brampton Garden. And that will be equally used for the ethnic media. Most of we survey, 80 to 90% people, they respond, they're getting the information from the ethnic media, not from the French or English media. What are you going to take on that?
So 3 years ago, we did do that motion where we doubled the allocation in our media budget for cultural media. And I'm proud that I took that initiative because it shows we understand that many of our residents really rely on cultural media like yours for their primary source of news. And so no city council has increased the allocation to cultural media at a greater percentage than the city of Brampton.
Last question, status of new cricket stadium. Somebody sent me a question, sir.
So right now we've got 18 fields. Next week we're going to be announcing another one, so stay tuned. I put forward a motion to build a public cricket stadium where it could be multi-use. So you could do kabaddi, soccer, cricket, multi-use stadium. And council wanted to go the way of a public-private stadium. My preference is public, but lost on a 6-5 vote, and now they want to do an RFP for a public-private stadium, which means that the city owns the land, but there's a private building that's on the land, sort of like what we have with the CA Center. The city owns the land, but it's a private building. So that's the direction that council has gone for our multi-use stadium, and those RFPs should be going out soon because it's already passed council.
No one can beat Patrick Brown. He's always available to any question, I believe. Thank you, Patrick. Thank you very much for early morning being with me. Thank you for joining me. Hopefully you will join in future with me.
Anytime. You know that, Kalandra. Okay. Thank you so much.